Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I am so excited to see you again in the emotional, dangerous, and heartbreaking journey of CEO James, and the brave young woman who captured not only his heart, but ours, Lieutenant Diep. As we left off the previous episode, many of you were still reeling from the horrific events that had just unfolded. Diep had narrowly escaped the ruthless John, then disappeared without a trace. Into the wilderness. No signs, no clues, no trace. James, desperate and driven by love, refused to give up. Day and night, he trekked across the treacherous terrain, chasing shadows and whispers in the deep woods. But fate can be cruel. At 0:40, we see James collapse, both physically and mentally, in the mountains. Exhausted, desperate, and fainting, he passed out on the trail. Luckily, a passing villager came across him and carried him to safety. Without that miracle, who knows if he would have survived, but the grief spread even further. Back home, James' mother, who loved Diep for her sincerity and strength, was so devastated by the lack of news that she fainted. The tension grew, the story spread, and just when all hope seemed lost, a ray of light appeared in the darkness. The police received an urgent report. A woman matching Yes' description had been seen in a small, remote village. Limping, disoriented, alone. Without hesitation, James and his task force sprang into action. They fought slippery trails, crossed rivers swollen by rain, and hacked their way through dense forest. The thought flashed through James' mind, could it really be her? When they arrived, they split up. Questioned every villager, scanned every path, and then, they found her. Or someone had seen her. An elderly peddler recalled a girl, limping, soaked, pale, but her eyes still burning. She looked lost, the old woman said, looking for a way out. She disappeared down a narrow alley before anyone could help. James hurried over. There was nothing, just footprints, wet ground, faint traces, swallowed up by time and weather. The locals had no answers. No one knew where the girl had gone. But one detail kept James going, the hobble wound. It was the one Diep had sustained while running from John. It was vague, but it was enough. Fueled by a glimmer of hope, James pressed forward, determination etched into every step. I won't stop, he told himself. Until I find her. The search continued. They missed no clues, all eyes on the horizon, searching for a sign. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and golden light slanted through the trees, another villager brought news. A girl who looked like Diep had been spotted at the edge of the forest. James ran. His heart pounded. But fate played a cruel trick again. It wasn't Diep. It was just a local woman who bore an uncanny resemblance. The limp, the clothes, it was all a coincidence, and just like that, hope was gone. James stood frozen, watching the woman disappear into the distance. Something inside him broke. For a moment, he felt as if he had lost Diep again, but the grief had its own strange origins. The wind picked up. Rain began to fall. James clenched his fists. He looked back at the forest. His eyes burned with determination, and he whispered, "Even if the sun burns my skin or the rain soaks my soul." "I will find you, Diep." And then he turned back into the darkness, undaunted. Back in John's lair, chaos reigned. As soon as he heard that Diep had escaped, his cool demeanor shattered. He flew into a rage, smashing a glass on the floor and ordering brutal punishment for the loser. His voice cut through the air like a knife. "A weak girl? And you let her escape?" The room echoed with screams as his henchman was beaten in front of everyone. But John wasn't done yet. He studied the map, looking for potential hiding spots. His orders: find her before the police or James do. Tear the forest apart if necessary. The game had changed. John was no longer just dangerous, he was out of control. Little did he know, someone was listening in. Trang, John's ally and GC's daughter. Shocked and horrified by what she heard, she secretly made a choice to help James. The next day, she went to James's house under the pretext of taking care of his mother. She quietly pulled him aside. "James," she whispered, "I think I found something. John's people, maybe they know where Diep is." James was stunned. Could he trust her? "Okay," she insisted. "I'll be a spy, but you have to keep it a secret." He agreed. It was risky, but it was also an opportunity. Later, sneaking into the family mansion, Trang overheard. "Move, the southern woods. This can't get out." Her instincts told her. She followed John's men on her scooter, her heart pounding, but she was found. Chased. Threatened. She was lucky to escape, but when she returned, her father was waiting. Angry. Betrayed. "Trang, what do you think you're doing?" He locked her in the attic, the very room she'd played in as a child, that had become a prison. In the darkness, she whispered, "James, I'm sorry. I couldn't warn you anymore." Back in the woods, James pressed forward. Despite the danger, despite all the clues that were in vain, there was only one truth in his heart. Diep was alive, and he had to find her. Night fell, the flashlight still shining in the darkness. He reached for his phone, no answer. Trang was silent. Has she been discovered? Is Diep in John's hands? But James did not let despair win. He stood up straight, pressed the phone to his chest, and said, "If no one else can help, then I will become the last light myself." And once again, he stepped into the unknown.